Welcome back. Well, the breaking news in the last few minutes is that a man has been found guilty of murdering police officer Sharon Beshenivsky more than 18 years ago. Mrs. Beshenivsky was shot while responding to a robbery call in Bradford in 2005. Piran Ditta Khan, who was now 74, was extradited from Pakistan last year. In the last few minutes, he was found guilty by the court in Leeds, guilty of count 1, which was murder. That was a majority verdict. He also found guilty of count 2, robbery. He had actually pleaded guilty to this, but also of counts 3 and 4, which were 2 counts of possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life. He was found guilty on a majority verdict, and he was also found guilty on counts 5 and 6, which is guilty of the possession of a prohibited weapon. The jury at Leeds Crown Court had deliberated for 18 hours and 44 minutes this case. He is alleged to be the mastermind behind a raid at this family-run Universal Express travel agents back in November 2005. PC Sharon Beshenivsky had responded to that. A police officer who went down on the job. She was shot on her youngest daughter's 4th birthday as she arrived at this robbery in Morley Street in Bradford and then died from her injuries. Her colleague, PC Teresa Milburn, was also seriously injured after being shot by the gunman. There were 3 armed men who had just carried out that robbery. They fled the scene with just over £5,000 in cash. Well, prosecutors claim that Khan was the group's ringleader and had played a pivotal role in planning the raid and giving instructions to others. He had pleaded not guilty to the murder, but the court today, the jury there, found him guilty. They say the fact that he was the ringleader, the prosecution said, made him guilty of PC Beshenivsky's murder as surely as if he'd pulled the triggers themselves. Jurors heard that Khan was in a lookout car eating sandwiches with another of the robbers, Hassan Rasak, while the raid was being carried out. And the prosecutors argued he was the only one of the group who was familiar with Universal Express because he'd been using the business for years to transfer money to a family in Pakistan. He had denied knowing that the robbery was going to be committed or that weapons were going to be taken into the shop that day. He said that the motive for the robbery was that the business owner owed him money and that the debt collector, who was Razak, offered to get his money back. Well, Piran Ditta Khan told Leeds Crown Court he thought that the men Razak sent would simply intimidate the staff or, at most, slap them. But the judge told jurors that the defendant would be guilty of murder if they were sure that he intentionally encouraged the primary robbers to take part and intended serious harm should be caused, if necessary, to carry out the robbery and escape with the proceeds. And clearly the jury, who deliberated for over 18 hours, took that on board. They went out to consider their verdict a number of weeks ago. And this is the last of several men who were involved in this robbery to face trial. Piran Ditta Khan fled to Pakistan 2 months after PC Beshenivsky's death, and he remained there. And we can see his arrest here until he was arrested by the Pakistani authorities back in January 2020 and extradited to the UK last year. The other members of the group have already been convicted of offences including murder, manslaughter, robbery and firearms offences. So almost 20 years after her death. And it was, you may recall, a death that really shocked the nation. 2 female police officers shot when they simply went to respond to reports of a burglary. Piran Ditta Khan found guilty of the murder of Sharon Beshenivsky just a short while ago.